Boy refuses to sit in school desk. Principal installs camera and can't believe the footage. The kindergarten classroom was bright and colorful, filled with the sounds of children laughing, crayons scratching on paper, and small chairs scraping against the floor. But in the far corner of the room, away from the other kids, 5-year-old Lucas Reed sat with his back against the wall, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. His usual smile was gone, replaced by a stubborn frown. Ms. Alvarez, his teacher, knelt beside him, her dark brown eyes filled with concern. She kept her voice soft, but there was a tired edge to it. She had tried this same conversation every day for weeks. "Lucas, sweetheart," she said, "you have to sit at your desk like the other kids. We're going to do our alphabet song soon." Lucas shook his head, his messy blonde hair falling into his eyes. "No," he muttered, staring at the floor. "It's bad there." Ms. Alvarez sighed. "What's bad about it, Lucas?" "Your desk is just like everyone else's." But Lucas didn't answer. He just hugged his knees tighter, as if making himself smaller would keep him safe. 3 weeks ago, Lucas had been like any other kindergartner, laughing, eager to learn, always raising his hand to answer questions. He loved drawing pictures and telling silly jokes that made his classmates giggle. Then, one morning, he stopped sitting at his desk. At first, Ms. Alvarez thought he was just being playful. Maybe he wanted to sit on the carpet instead. But when she gently guided him back to his seat, his whole body stiffened. His blue eyes filled with something she hadn't seen before. Fear. "No!" he had shouted, loud enough that the other kids turned to look. Since then, he refused. No matter how many stickers she offered, no matter how patiently she spoke to him, Lucas would only sit in the corner, quiet and withdrawn. After another unsuccessful attempt to get Lucas to sit at his desk, Ms. Alvarez picked up the phone during her lunch break. She dialed the number for Elena Reed, Lucas's mother. The phone rang 4 times before a tired voice answered. "Hello? Ms. Reed, it's Ms. Alvarez from Pinewood Elementary. I'm sorry to bother you at work, but I'm really concerned about Lucas." There was a pause, then a sigh. "Is he still not sitting at his desk?" "No, he isn't. And he won't tell me why." "Has he said anything to you?" "No," Elena said, her voice defensive. "At home, he's fine. He sits at the table for dinner. He sits on the couch. I don't know why school is different." Ms. Alvarez rubbed her forehead. "I know this must be frustrating, but we need to figure out what's going on. Has anything changed at home? Any new people around him? Anything that might be upsetting him?" "Nothing," Elena snapped, then immediately sounded guilty. "Look, I'm working 2 jobs. I'm doing my best. Maybe he's just being stubborn." Ms. Alvarez softened her voice. "I don't think that's it. Something is wrong. And if we can't find out what, the school might have to take further steps." "What does that mean?" Elena's voice sharpened. "The principal might need to involve child services, just to make sure Lucas is okay." A long silence. Then quietly, Elena said, "I'll come in tomorrow. We'll talk." The next morning, Mr. Donovan, the school principal, sat across from Ms. Alvarez in his office. He was a tall man with graying hair and a firm but kind face. "You think it's serious?" he asked, frowning. "I do," Ms. Alvarez said. "Kids don't act like this for no reason. He's scared of something." Mr. Donovan leaned back in his chair. "We'll meet with the mother today. But if this continues, we have to consider that maybe there's something happening at home we don't know about." Ms. Alvarez hesitated. "What if it's something happening here?" Mr. Donovan's eyebrows rose. "You think someone at school is hurting him?" "I don't know," she admitted. "But we need to find out." Mr. Donovan nodded slowly. Then we will. That afternoon, Elena Reed sat in the principal's office, her hands clenched in her lap. She looked exhausted, her eyes shadowed from lack of sleep. Ms. Reed? Mr. Donovan began gently. We want to help Lucas, but we need to understand why he's refusing to sit in class. Elena's jaw tightened. I don't know. He won't tell me. Has he ever been hurt or scared of someone? No, Elena said sharply. Then quieter, not that I know of. Mr. Donovan exchanged a glance with Ms. Alvarez. If we can't figure this out, the school may have to call in outside help. It's procedure. Elena's eyes filled with tears. You think I'm hurting my son? We don't think anything yet, Ms. Alvarez said quickly. We just want Lucas to be okay. Elena took a shaky breath. Then help me find out what's wrong. Mr. Donovan nodded. We will. And with that, the first step toward the truth had begun. The week had passed with no change. Lucas still refused to sit at his desk, no matter how much Ms. Alvarez encouraged him. But then, on Friday morning, something unexpected happened. As the other children settled into their seats, Lucas hesitated near his desk, the one with his name written in bright blue letters. His small hands gripped the edges of the chair. For the first time in weeks, he slowly sat down. He just wanted to be like his classmates. But deep down, he knew bad things would happen. Ms. Alvarez held her breath, watching carefully. Was this progress? But Lucas didn't look happy. His shoulders were hunched, his fingers gripping the desk so tightly his knuckles turned white. His eyes kept darting around the room, like he was waiting for something bad to happen. After class, Ms. Alvarez hurried to Mr. Donovan's office. He sat today, she said, but something's still wrong. He looked terrified. Mr. Donovan rubbed his forehead. We need to know what's happening in that classroom when we're not looking. You mean a camera? Ms. Alvarez asked. He nodded. Just one. Small, discreet, to see what we're missing. Ms. Alvarez hesitated. Is that even allowed? For student safety? Yes, Mr. Donovan said firmly. If Lucas is scared, we need to know why. That afternoon, while the children were at recess, a tiny camera was installed near the ceiling, pointing toward Lucas's desk. No one would notice it unless they knew where to look. The next morning, Mr. Donovan and Ms. Alvarez watched the live feed from his office. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Lucas sat at his desk, fidgeting but quiet. The other kids chattered as Ms. Alvarez started the morning lesson. Then, the classroom door opened. Lucas's whole body jerked. His head snapped toward the door, his breath quick. It was just the lunch aide, dropping off a note. Ms. Alvarez frowned. Why did he react like that? Mr. Donovan rewound the footage. Watch his face. Lucas's eyes had widened in fear, just for a second, before he realized who it was. They kept watching. Every time the door opened, Lucas flinched. Every time footsteps passed behind him, his shoulders tensed. Then, halfway through the morning, Mr. Greeley, the classroom aide, walked casually behind the students, stopping here and there to adjust a pencil or straighten a paper. When he reached Lucas's desk, he paused. Wait, Ms. Alvarez whispered. Go back. Mr. Donovan rewound the footage a few seconds. They watched again as Mr. Greeley leaned down, his hand resting on the back of Lucas's chair. His fingers lingered, just for a moment, near the boy's waist. Lucas's face changed instantly. His small body tensed, his eyes widening in discomfort. But the interaction was over so quickly that if they hadn't been watching closely, they would have missed it entirely. Ms. Alvarez gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Oh my God. Mr. Donovan's face darkened, his knuckles whitening as he gripped the edge of his desk. That's why he won't sit down. They rewound the footage again, watching in sickening silence as the scene played out once more. There was no mistaking it. Lucas's reaction, the way he froze, the fear in his eyes. Ms. Alvarez felt tears burning behind her eyelids. How long has this been happening? Mr. Donovan shook his head, his voice low and furious. Too long. Without another word, Mr. Donovan picked up the phone and dialed. Detective Ruiz? It's Principal Donovan from Pinewood Elementary. We need you here immediately. Less than 30 minutes later, Detective Ruiz and Officer Harris stood in the office, their expressions grim as they reviewed the footage. Detective Ruiz exhaled sharply. We'll take it from here. The next morning, Mr. Greeley was called into the office under the pretense of a routine meeting. Mr. Greeley, Mr. Donovan said, his voice carefully neutral. We're making some staffing adjustments. You'll be reporting to the district office for reassignment. Mr. Greeley blinked, his smile faltering. Is there a problem? Just a routine change. Mr. Donovan lied smoothly. Please gather your things. As Mr. Greeley left the building, unaware of the detectives waiting for him at the district office, Ms. Alvarez watched from her classroom window, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. It was over. That afternoon, Ms. Alvarez sat with Lucas during recess while the other children played. Lucas, she said gently, you're safe now. Mr. Greeley won't be coming back. Lucas looked up at her, his blue eyes filled with a mix of fear and something else. Hope. Really? Really, she promised. The car ride home from school was silent. Elena kept glancing in the rearview mirror at Lucas, who sat hunched in his booster seat, staring out the window. His usual chatter about superheroes was gone. Instead, he chewed on his bottom lip, his small fingers picking at a loose thread on his shirt. Elena's heart ached. She had been called into the principal's office that afternoon, where Mr. Donovan and Ms. Alvarez told her what they'd seen on the camera. Their words had hit her like a punch to the stomach. Mr. Greeley, touching Lucas, her baby. Elena couldn't breathe. She pulled Lucas into her arms, holding him so tightly she feared she might crush him. Hot tears streamed down her face as she buried her nose in his hair. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry, she choked out. But he's gone now. He's never coming back. You're safe. Lucas clung to her, his small body shaking. For the first time in weeks, he cried. Really cried, letting out all the fear he'd been holding inside. The next morning, Elena marched into the school, Lucas's hand clutched tightly in hers. Mr. Donovan was waiting for them in his office. The moment Elena sat down, the principal leaned forward, his face lined with regret. Ms. Reed, I can't begin to tell you how sorry I am, he said, his voice thick. We should have noticed sooner. We should have protected him. Elena's jaw tightened. Yes, you should have. Mr. Donovan didn't argue. You're right, and we're making changes to ensure this never happens again. He explained the new safeguards. More cameras in classrooms and hallways. Stricter rules for staff interacting with students. No unnecessary touching. No one-on-one time behind closed doors. Elena listened, her anger slowly giving way to exhaustion. It wouldn't change what had happened to Lucas, but at least other kids would be safer. That evening, as Elena tucked Lucas into bed, he looked up at her, his face serious. Mommy? Yeah, baby? Am I really safe now? Elena's throat tightened. She kissed his forehead. Yes, Lucas. You're safe. And if anyone ever tries to hurt you again, You tell me right away, okay? Lucas nodded, his eyelids drooping. Okay. As she turned off the light, Elena paused in the doorway, watching her son's chest rise and fall with each sleepy breath. Finally, Mr. Greeley pleaded guilty, receiving an 8 to 12-year prison sentence and permanent registration. One evening, Elena showed Lucas the letter confirming Greeley's punishment. "The bad man can't hurt anyone anymore," she whispered. Lucas just nodded, then returned to playing, his first real smile in months. Though shadows remained, safety had been restored. The nightmare was over, and in its place grew something fragile but precious. Trust, rebuilding day by day. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And let us know in the comments where in the world you are watching from. We love hearing from all of you. Thanks for watching.